So, here's the Jeep. Right now, I think we're sitting at about a tier 1 upgrade. This looks to be like everything I can do that would be, you know, the first step for building yourself a nice off-roader, you know? First off, you gotta have some good grip. So you get yourself some nice mud terrain tires. And then when your tires can't get you out of shit, well, now you need a winch, but for a winch you need a bumper. So the bumper got D-rings, and now you can get yourself out of stuff. But now your engine stalls because you're going through puddles that are too deep and it's going through the airbox. So now we need a snorkel. So now we can survive the puddles, but now it gets inside the interior. So we can call up our buddies on the CB and talk to them. That's kind of cool. But how about we get ourselves a little higher over the water, over some obstacles, and fit some bigger tires on this thing. So, we're going to take this stock suspension Cherokee and amp it up. You know, 4.5 inches. Nice, respectable lift. I decided to go with Rubicon Express. Got their 4.5-inch SuperFlex kit. That comes with just about everything you'll need. I'll show you all the boxes I got before I start ripping this thing apart. And that's what I get to drive until this is finished. Alright. So, in this box we get our transfer case lowering kit, which I'm not going to use. Front and rear brake lines. We have our quick disconnect end links for the front. The rear is going to get removed. Got the new U-bolt kit. We have spacers for the shackles and all that crap. We got the front coil bump stops. The nice new springs. Nice and hefty. Upper front control arms. Lower front control arms. One of the 2 or 3s. We got ourselves the steering stabilizer from Rubicon. Adjustable track bar from Rubicon. And then there's the rear leaves back there. So that's the whole kit. Also, don't forget to print out some instructions. I ordered the Rubicon Express Monotube shock kit, not the twin tube. These are a little more expensive. They're supposed to be a little nicer and not kill you. Okay, first step, jacking up the rear. Got blocks in the front. Got 2 real big stops right here, supports under the frame, not under the axle, and then I use that to jack it up real high. I drove it on the ramps first to get me the good height, so that's drooped all the way down. So you can see there's a lot more drop now. So now you take off the tires and start working on the suspension. You want to do one side at a time to keep the axle kind of supported and also help keep whatever alignment is left. Alright, the tires off, you can get a much better idea of what you're working with here. So you got your forward spring eye bolt for the leaf spring right there. Those are fun to take off. You got your rear bolt right there, along with the shackle. That sits up a little higher, up there. You got your shock, bottom nut, and the 2 upper shock bolts with the bar pin right there. Then you got your spring pad bolts right here. Now these nuts also hold on the this thing, the rear sway bar. So this whole assembly is coming out. You got a bracket like this with two bolts on each side. Take those off. Take that through bolt through. Take that off. And then you can get rid of that sway bar. Also the brake line. Right now, if you'll notice, this brake line is at full stretch. And when you drop that axle, it's going to rip that apart, and it might not rip what you want to rip. So take off this brake line first before you start dropping stuff. And put the new one on just so you don't contaminate the fluid. So that'll be the first step. Okay, there you have it. Both those lines are broken off. The one, since I replaced it not too recently, came off pretty easy with the flare wrench. The other one, it was starting to tear up the nut, so I just took some vice grips and broke that free, took it out. Everything's just duct tape to keep, you know, some of the crap out. I'm not going to hook up the new brake line just yet, in case the axle has to drop more or whatever. So, next, we're going to take out this guy. So I'm going to see if I can free up that nut bolt assembly right there. If not, I'll have to mess around with the spring pad or something, but... And these bolts have to come off too. Man, I tell you what, get yourself a nice impact gun and some metric impact sockets. You're going to need them. There's all kinds of weird sizes, like 13s, 15s, 18s, all kinds of weird sizes, but shit's coming off real easy. So these bolts came out along with the mount. They came out real easy. The shock bolts actually came out pretty easy. I was impressed. I always hear people breaking them off and stuff, so I didn't want that. I PB blasted them, but that didn't penetrate at all. And I took myself a punch. So I took this punch, and I took that hammer and beat the heads of these to try and break them up. And I guess it worked real well. The shock bolt came out real easy, so this shock is free. I'm going to keep the other shock connected for now, just because I'm going to drop this side. So the only thing that's left to do now to drop this side of the axle, take this pin out, take that pin out. Okay. Broken loose, broken loose, and broken loose. Now this one was a pain in the ass. This one, the impact gun was not the way to go. We just took 2 breaker bars and a pipe, stick them on there. These are 21 millimeter, so if you don't have a 21 millimeter over here, you're going to have fun with some kind of American size. I don't remember whatever's in between those two. So yeah, break that off with a breaker bar. This one you can't reach to, so that's breaker bar area. That one I got with an extension. That one came out. So I have the axle tube supported on this side. After all these bolts are out, unbolt the U-bolt clippies right there, and your axle or your leaf pack will be free. So back to cranking. Okay, I got the plate out. That I think was a regular size. That was a 3/4 inch, I think. Yeah, 3/4. Alright, so now you can see all this just kind of free floats now. With that eye out, and that eye out, now this thing's free. So I can just take this leaf out. You just pop the pin off the perch and take it out, but it's heavy, so I gotta do this two-handed. There you go. One side completely disassembled. Old versus the new, side by side. You can see the old one's rather straight, and the new one's a lot curved. But all in all, putting them right here pin to pin, you notice the length's about the same, it just sits a little higher. So, cool. Also, I gotta say, that new leaf pack probably weighs twice as much as the old one. And for good reason, it's got a lot more stacks than that. This one's got, what, 6 stacks, and that's got 4. So, it's pretty fucking heavy. Time to put it in. Okay. So, first off, is flipping the leaf spring into the pad. Only problem is you have to enlarge these holes. Since this is a bigger pack, they used a larger pin by, like, instead of using a 1/2 inch pin, they used a 9/16 inch pin. And it's really hard to find a 9/16 inch drill bit, because usually that's the in-between point between a drill bit and a hole saw, for at least the kits that I have. But once you can enlarge that pad with some kind of means, the big eye, I believe, goes towards the front, and the small one goes towards the rear into the shackle. So once we enlarge that hole, we can flip this over and put it all together. Okay, so with our shackle kit comes with 2 rubber bushings and a center pin. And this is what it's going to look like on your thing. You put your rubber bushings on either end, and then you slide your pin through. And then after that, that hole right there, you put one of these Zerk fittings in there, so that way you can grease this to keep it nice and not squeaky. Okay, and also, since we're in here, U-bolt kit. Comes with new U-bolts, new nuts, new washers. I'll have to figure out the washer thing in a second. Oh. Okay, so with the hole widened, you can finally put the new spring pack on there and tighten it down. We couldn't find a 9/16 inch drill bit. All we had was a 1/2 inch, so we tried wobbling it out a little bit. And we took this itty-bitty little Dremel and started dremeling away until the fucking thing fit on there. So, now you put your plate back on, your washer and bolt set up. You get this guy in there, and then pivot it back, put your new shackle and everything. The cutout goes towards the back, and then tighten everything loosely so that when you put it back on the ground, you fully tighten it so everything sits flat. But you can tighten the U-bolt. So, tighten everything up. Okay, onto the shocks. To get that new bar pin in there is a pain in the ass. I don't remember which side it is. I don't know if it's that side or the other side. We grinded just a little bit off one of the tips so that it wasn't so square and cutty. And we put a little bit of grease in there, and you just try to wiggle one end in and then pop the other, and hit it with a hammer to try to get it started, and then use a vise to push it through, or just keep hammering it or something. They're a pain in the ass, but they will go through eventually. Online, I was looking, apparently trying to take the bushing out and put the bar pin in and then put the whole assembly through the shock is harder than just trying to push the bar pin through. Now would also be a good time for bar pin eliminators if you feel like doing that. I don't really care. So, that was a bit of a pain. Anyway, tighten those down. Don't tighten them to Superman string because you'll shear the bolts. You don't want that. Attach this guy. These bolts right here can be tightened down fully because, you know, they're just holding the axle in the correct orientation. This bolt you want to keep slightly loose along with these two bolts. Also, you're going to want to grease the shackle because if you saw the way that they go together, there's no grease in there. It's just to keep them from squeaking, really. So I'll do that once it's all together. So this side is complete. All we gotta do is the brake line, which I'm gonna do at the end, and to show you guys the difference. Nice shiny new parts. Old, not so shiny parts. Okay, same thing to this side. Take all the bolts out, drop that, put all the new shit in. I'm not going to show you twice. That's the length difference in shocks right there. Man, I tell you what, these fucking bar pins suck. And grind them smooth a little bit so they slide in a little better. Tried grease, but WD-40 seemed to do better of a job. It's so fucking stupid. I don't get it. I can see why people like doing bar pin eliminators now. That's a royal pain to get them fucking things in there. Okay. Passenger side progress. Shackle and everything's all bolted up. New rear leaf is mounted, fits in the perch nicely. And that bolt over there is snugged up. So, at the moment, we're basically done in the rear. If you look, this jack isn't even supporting the axle anymore. The axle is supported. So, the only issue that I have to worry about now is up here, drilling out that fucking bolt. It's hardened steel. It's a pain in the ass. So my dad's going to see if he can get a better drill bit or something so that we can drill that out, tap it, and put a new bolt in there. Lucky only one of them broke because I'd fucking kill myself if I'd go through all four of those. So, I think that's where we're going to stop for tonight. It's looking good though. Alright, back in the daytime. On the driver's side, here's the brake line set up right here. This is your rear brake line bracket that you're worried about. So that actually came out pretty easy, you know, PB blaster. Get yourself a 3/8 inch wrench, one of these guys, the special pipe wrenches. I forget, flare nut wrench. The flare nut, and then I use this guy because I don't know what size the other thing was for the brake line. So you hold this with the wrench, and then use the 3/8 on there to undo it. I just used a little hammer and punch just to try and loosen it up, and it worked pretty well. Came right off. Now to get this guy out, there's this little bracket which you have to grab and twist and try and wiggle it out, because that's the only thing that really holds it in place. Because if you look at the top, it is open. So, it just slides around in there. Then you can take the new brake line and put it in. And in case you're curious, the length difference is huge. Here's the difference. It's hard to show because it's not straight, but it's a lot longer. The other brake hose would not fit on there at all. Probably shouldn't get that dirty, but this will give you plenty of stretch length So, alright, time to put that back in there, and then we can hook the bottom up. The height difference is a little different. If you go from tip to tip, the nut on the left on the old one sits a little lower, I guess, so that clip has more of a recess to sit on, and this one doesn't, but they still line up the same. Secondly, in order to put the brake line in, it took me a little bit to figure this one out, so I was being stupid. When you come up to this clip, you might think that you're going to take your brake line and put it in through the top and squeeze it in. No, not even close. That thing's never going to fit. Something that I just accidentally stumbled upon and said, oh look, it just fits right in there, just like that. Doesn't have to slide down, it just fits right in there. And then you're wondering, oh, what holds it on? Well, that clip you took off, that's the clip that holds it. So you put that in there and then put the clip on the front and that holds it together. Simple as that. After you do that, put your old line back on, run it down here, put that bolt through, put the other ones in, you're good to go on the brakes. Then you just gotta bleed it for like hours. Okay, scratch what I said previously, that E-clip does not have to be transferred on there. As I compared before, the difference in sizes means that the clip is being eliminated and the nut is the new backing plate. So you just got the nut on this side and the front clip here. So you don't have to worry about that, this little clip here that will be not reused because it does not fit. So, just stick your hose through and then hammer that new clip on there. Make sure there's no dirt on the old line. Put it back in there and tighten it up. You're good to go. There you go. Tighten it up. That's what she looks like. Comes up back there and it's tightened in there. There you go. Lovely. Got our leaf springs, got a new shocks, and a new brake line. Sweet. Fucking Christ. Okay. After drilling out that hole, getting that bolt out there, that sucked. I ended up drilling the hole sideways, so it was all cockeyed, and I didn't even finish drilling through the whole bolt. But you can go in through that access panel, if you can see it from this side. That area right there, you can see the bolt through there. So just come on the other side. We just knocked it out with a punch and shit, and tapped it out to a bigger size. Metric, this bolt was an 8 1/4 originally, and or no, it was a 10 1/4 thread count or something like that. And they only got 10 and 12s, the place that we were looking at, so I just went up to a regular size. 3/8 would have been a close fit, so one size bigger is 5/16. So you get a 5/16 inch bolt in there. I had to widen the that through bolt stupid thing bar pen. I had to widen up that hole for that to fit. So now that that's done, the brake line's done, all this fucking shit's done, I can put the tires back on, put it on the ground, and then fully tighten up the rest of the bolts. Just do that. Here we are back on the ground. As you can see, there's plenty of fucking wheel room now. I think 33s won't be an issue. These are 29-inch tires right now. Actually 29 after measuring. Well, 28.5 because wear, but you get the idea. I know it's dark, but it's looking good, especially compared to the front. Really too dark to get a good video, but big difference. Alright, on to the front.